The morning started like any other morning at the Galactic Confluence Academy. The big space station called Harmony 7 floated quietly in space, far away from any wars or dangerous places. Inside one of the classrooms, Professor Quilksar was teaching advanced xenobiology to 30 students from different planets across the galaxy. Professor Quilksar was a Vexthari, a species that breathed methane gas instead of oxygen. He wore a special breathing mask that covered his face. His voice came through a speaker on the mask as he showed pictures of alien cell structures on the big screen at the front of the class. The students sat in rows of curved desks. There were creatures of all shapes and sizes. Some had fur, some had scales, and some had smooth skin in colors like blue, green, and purple. Near the back of the room sat Marcus Chen, the only human in the entire class. In fact, Marcus was one of the few humans at the whole academy. Humans were new to the galactic community. Most species had been traveling between stars for thousands of years, but humans had only joined about 50 years ago. The other species thought humans were strange and a little bit scary. This was because humans came from Earth, and Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world. A death world meant a planet that was extremely dangerous. Most planets in the galaxy were safe and calm. But Earth had deadly animals, violent weather, and diseases that could kill you quickly. The fact that humans had survived on such a horrible planet made other species nervous around them. Marcus did not look dangerous. He was average height for a human, with dark hair and brown eyes. He wore the standard academy uniform, a gray and blue jumpsuit. He sat quietly taking notes on his datapad, while Professor Quilksar explained how different species processed nutrients differently. Next to Marcus sat Velsha, his closest friend at the academy. She was a Centaurian, which meant she had pale purple skin and large eyes that could see more colors than humans. Velsha was also an empath. She could feel the emotions of people around her. Right now, she felt bored from most of the class. It was midterm week and everyone was tired and stressed about studying. Everything changed in 1 second. The classroom door, which was sealed and locked during lessons, suddenly exploded inward. Metal pieces flew across the room. Students screamed and ducked under their desks. The lights flickered, and through the smoke and dust stepped something that made everyone freeze in terror. It was a Kreshtar. The Kreshtar were known across every planet in the galaxy as the most dangerous assassins. They were natural killers. This one stood 8 feet tall on 2 powerful legs. It had 4 arms, and each arm ended in blade-like claws that could cut through steel. Its body was covered in a hard shell that looked like black armor with red markings. Its head was long with multiple eyes and sharp mandibles that clicked together. The creature moved into the classroom slowly. Each step it took made a heavy thud on the floor. It was scanning the room with all of its eyes, looking for something. Or someone, Velsha gasped. As an empath, she could feel emotions like waves hitting her. And right now, the emotion coming from the Kreshtar was pure predatory intent. It was here to kill. The classroom erupted into chaos. Students from prey species, the ones whose ancestors had been hunted by predators, simply froze, their bodies locked up from fear. It was an ancient survival instinct. Maybe if they stayed perfectly still, the predator would not see them. Other students, the ones from predator species, had different reactions. A Thorian student, which looked like a bear with 6 legs, started to activate his defensive spines. A Zix student, which was a floating jellyfish-like creature, began to change colors rapidly, trying to blend in with the wall. Professor Quilksar tried to speak, but his breathing apparatus started to malfunction. The professor was panicking, and his panic was making him breathe too fast. He stumbled backward and knocked over his chair. The Kreshtar took another step forward. Its mandibles opened, showing rows of sharp teeth. It raised all 4 of its blade arms, ready to strike. And then, in the middle of all this fear and panic, a sound cut through the silence. Laughter. Marcus Chen was laughing. It was not nervous laughter. It was not the kind of laughter that happens when someone is scared and does not know what else to do. It was genuine, real laughter. The kind of sound someone makes when they see something truly ridiculous. Marcus leaned back in his chair, completely relaxed. He looked at the 8-foot-tall killing machine that had just broken into his classroom, and he thought it was funny. The Kreshtar stopped moving. Its head turned toward Marcus, all of its eyes focused on the human. In 47 years of being a professional assassin, the creature had killed hundreds of targets across dozens of worlds. It had made entire armies run away in fear, but never, not even once, had anyone ever laughed at it. The assassin's mandibles clicked together in confusion. This was wrong. This was not how prey was supposed to behave. Velsha stared at Marcus with her large eyes. She was using her empathic abilities to feel his emotions. What she felt made no sense at all. There was no fear. None. There was no adrenaline spike, no increased heart rate, no fight-or-flight response. There was just amusement and a little bit of annoyance. Marcus's laughter slowly died down to quiet chuckles. He checked the time display on his wrist. Then he looked at the Kreshtar and shook his head. "Seriously?" Marcus said. His voice was calm and casual, like he was talking to a friend who had just told a bad joke. "It's midterms week. We have our molecular cascade exam tomorrow. I've been studying for 3 days straight. And you show up now?" The other students could not believe what they were hearing. Velsha put her hand on Marcus's arm, trying to warn him. But Marcus just kept talking. "And you're supposed to be scary?" Marcus continued. He gestured at the Kreshtar with one hand. "You're supposed to be the scariest thing in the galaxy?" The assassin hissed. It was a sound designed to frighten prey before the kill. The hiss was so loud that it hurt everyone's ears. But Marcus did not even flinch. Instead, Marcus stood up from his desk. Every other student in the room pressed themselves against the walls, trying to get as far away as possible. They were sure that Marcus had gone completely insane. His mind had broken from fear, and now he was going to get himself killed. But Marcus looked perfectly calm as he walked toward the Kreshtar. He kept his hands in the pockets of his jumpsuit. His footsteps were steady and casual. He looked like he was just walking to the cafeteria to get lunch, not approaching a deadly predator. "Let me tell you something," Marcus said as he walked. "I'm from Earth. Do you know what we have on Earth?" The Kreshtar tilted its head. It did not understand what was happening. Prey did not walk toward predators. That was not how nature worked. Marcus held up his hand and started counting on his fingers. "We have spiders that can kill you with one bite. We have snakes that can swallow prey whole, prey that's bigger than you. We have jellyfish whose sting causes so much pain that people beg to die. We have bears that can run 35 miles per hour and tear through metal doors. We have crocodiles that haven't changed in millions of years because they're already perfect killing machines." The assassin's blade arms twitched, but it did not attack. Something deep in its predator brain was sending warning signals. This was wrong. This prey was wrong, and hippos, Marcus added. Hippos kill more humans every year than your entire species kills in contracts. They're giant gray animals that look slow and friendly, but they're actually murder machines that weigh 4 tons. Marcus stopped walking. He was now standing just 10 feet away from the Kreshtar, close enough that the creature could kill him with one quick movement of its blades. "You have 4 arms?" Marcus said. His tone changed from amused to something else, something colder. "That's nice. We invented tools and weapons because we only have 2 arms. We made up for our physical limitations with our brains. You're 8 feet tall? Okay. Earth used to have creatures called dinosaurs that made you look like an insect, and humans hunted the biggest animals on our planet to extinction. We did it accidentally while we were hunting something else." Velsha could feel the shift in emotions happening in the room. Marcus's amusement was gone now. What replaced it was something that made her shiver. It was calm. It was calculated. It was the emotional state of a predator evaluating a threat. Marcus looked directly into the Kreshtar's multiple eyes. When he spoke again, his voice was quiet but clear. Every word was precise. "You came to the wrong classroom, buddy, but I'll give you one chance. Turn around, walk out that door, and forget you ever saw me. Because if you don't, you're going to learn a very important lesson about humans. And trust me, you don't want to learn that lesson." The Kreshtar stared at Marcus. Its mandibles clicked rapidly. It was processing what it was seeing and feeling. For the first time in its long career as an assassin, it felt something it had never felt before. Uncertainty. The classroom was completely silent. Everyone held their breath. Professor Quilxar had managed to fix his breathing apparatus, but he did not dare make a sound. The students watched in frozen horror, waiting to see what would happen next. And Marcus just stood there, hands still in his pockets, waiting for the Kreshtar's answer. The Kreshtar assassin stood in the doorway of the classroom, confused in a way it had never been confused before. In all its years of hunting and killing, targets always reacted the same way. They ran, they froze, they begged, or they fought back in desperate panic, but they always showed fear. This human showed no fear at all. The assassin's advanced brain, designed by millions of years of evolution to hunt and kill, tried to understand what was happening. It analyzed the human's body language. The human's shoulders were relaxed. His breathing was steady. His hands stayed casually in his pockets. There were no signs of the biological stress response that all prey species showed before death. The Kreshtar's mandibles clicked together rapidly, which was a sign of confusion for its species. It tilted its head to one side, studying Marcus with all 6 of its eyes. Marcus's laughter had completely stopped now. He watched the assassin carefully, his brown eyes sharp and focused. The slight smile on his face was gone. What remained was a neutral expression that somehow felt more dangerous than any anger or fear. From her seat, Velsha was experiencing something she had never felt before. As an empath, she had spent her whole life reading emotions from every species imaginable. She knew what fear felt like, what anger felt like, what sadness and joy and love felt like. But what she was feeling from Marcus right now was completely alien to her. It was not exactly calm. Calm implied peace and stillness. This was different. This was controlled readiness. Marcus's mind was working very fast, analyzing everything about the situation, where the exits were, how fast the Kreshtar could move, which objects in the room could be used as weapons. His brain was processing tactical information like a computer, but there was no panic driving it. It was just efficient calculation. Velsha shivered. She realized something in that moment. Marcus was not acting brave to hide his fear. He genuinely was not afraid, and that was terrifying in its own way. One of the other students, a small furry creature named Pip from a prey world called Softa, started crying quietly. The sound broke the silence in the room. The Kreshtar's head snapped toward the noise, its predator instincts reacting to the sign of weakness. Marcus shifted his position slightly, moving one step to the side. The movement was small, but it put him more directly between the assassin and Pip. It was a protective stance, though Marcus did not make it obvious. "Let me explain something to you," Marcus said. His voice was conversational, almost like he was giving a lecture. "You're confused right now because you don't understand what humans are. That's okay. Most species don't understand, not really. They know Earth is a death world. They know humans are new to the galactic community, but they don't understand what that actually means." The Kreshtar remained motionless, listening. Its training as an assassin included gathering information about targets. Perhaps this human would say something useful before it died. "Earth has gravity that's stronger than 90% of inhabited worlds," Marcus continued. "That means our bones are denser and our muscles are stronger than most species, even if we don't look like it. We evolved under a yellow sun that made us able to keep going for hours without rest. Most predators on Earth hunt by ambush or short chases. Do you know how humans hunted?" Marcus took another casual step forward. The students gasped. Velsha wanted to grab him and pull him back, but she was too frightened to move. "We ran after our prey until it collapsed from exhaustion," Marcus said. "We call it persistence hunting. We would chase an animal for hours, sometimes days, until its body just gave up. We didn't need to be faster. We just needed to never stop. And we never did." The Kreshtar's blade arms twitched. That information triggered something in its brain. A predator that never stopped chasing was a nightmare scenario. Most prey could escape if they could just get far enough away. But a predator that would follow forever, that would track you across continents and through rivers and over mountains, that was something different. "And that's just our bodies," Marcus continued. "Let me tell you about our minds. Humans don't have natural weapons like claws or fangs. We don't have armor plating or poisonous stings. So you know what we did? We made weapons. We made them out of rocks and sticks at first. Then we made better ones out of metal. Then we made guns that could kill from a mile away. Then we made missiles that could kill from 100 miles away. Then we made nuclear weapons that could destroy entire cities." Marcus's voice stayed calm and educational, like he was teaching a class. But there was an edge to it now. "We looked at every problem nature gave us and we solved it with tools and intelligence. Cold weather? We made fire and clothing. Dangerous animals? We made weapons and traps. Disease? We made medicine. Can't fly? We built machines that could... Can't breathe underwater? We built machines for that too. Can't survive in space? We built ships and stations and suits." The human was now only 5 feet away from the Kreshtar, close enough that the assassin could smell him. Humans had a distinctive scent, different from any other species. This one smelled like soap and paper and something else, something sharper. It was the smell of adrenaline, the assassin realized. So the human did have a fear response. His body was preparing for violence. But his mind had complete control over it. That control was what made the Kreshitar hesitate. In all the galaxy, predators were predators because they acted on instinct faster than prey could react. But this human was showing predator traits, not prey traits. The casual approach, the direct eye contact, the calm voice while discussing violence. These were dominance behaviors. Here's the really important part, Marcus said. Earth didn't just have a few dangerous things. Everything on Earth was trying to kill everything else. The weather could kill you. The water could kill you. The plants could kill you. The insects could kill you. The bacteria could kill you. And of course, the animals could kill you in 1,000 different ways. Marcus pulled his hands out of his pockets. The movement made every student in the room flinch. But Marcus just crossed his arms over his chest, a relaxed posture. For 200,000 years, Earth tried to kill humans. Every single day was a fight for survival. And you know what happened? He paused, looking directly at the Kreshitar. We won, Earth lost. We conquered the entire planet. We turned the most hostile environment in the known galaxy into our home. We domesticated the dangerous animals and made them our pets and our food. We built cities in deserts and jungles and frozen tundras and on top of mountains. We went to the deepest parts of the ocean where the pressure would crush most species instantly. We did all of that while fighting each other at the same time. The Kreshitar's mandibles stopped clicking. Its breathing, which came through small vents along its neck, had changed rhythm. The assassin was becoming uncertain about this mission. You're an apex predator on your world, Marcus said. I respect that. But on Earth we have thousands of apex predators. We have them on land, in the water, and in the air. We have tiny apex predators like spiders and scorpions. We have huge ones like sharks and bears and tigers. And do you know what we call them now? Marcus smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. Endangered species. Because we're so good at surviving that we accidentally pushed most of them to near extinction. The few that are left we keep in zoos and nature preserves. We protect them because we feel bad about almost wiping them out. Behind Marcus, Professor Quilxar had managed to reach the emergency communication panel on the wall. His tentacle-like fingers pressed the alarm button silently. Somewhere in the station, security would be responding, but they were at least 5 minutes away, maybe longer if they needed to get special equipment. The Kreshitar saw the professor's action. It calculated quickly. It could complete its mission, kill the target, and escape before security arrived. But there was a problem. The problem was standing right in front of it, giving a lecture about Earth's food chain. I came to this academy to study medicine, Marcus said. Specifically, I'm studying xenobiology because I want to be a doctor who can treat all species, not just humans. I came here to learn how to save lives. Do you understand what that means? The assassin did not respond. It means I know exactly where all your vital organs are. Marcus said quietly. I know which of your nerve clusters will cause the most pain if I hit them. I know which of your joints bend the wrong way, and which ones can be dislocated with the right leverage. I know how much pressure it takes to crack your exoskeleton. I know all of this because I studied it. I took notes. I memorized it for my exams. Velshaw felt Marcus's emotions shift again. The calculation was still there, but now there was something else mixed in. Determination, protectiveness. He was thinking about the other students in the room. He was thinking about keeping them safe. I don't want to fight you, Marcus said. I really don't. I have a molecular cascade exam tomorrow and I need to study. But if you take one more step toward any of my classmates or toward Professor Quilxar, I will show you exactly what a human from a Class 12 Deathworld can do when someone threatens his pack. The word pack made something click in the Kreshitar's understanding. Humans were pack hunters. That was in the intelligence files. But the assassin had not considered what it meant. Pack hunters protected each other. Pack hunters fought together. The Kreshitar assassin did not attack. It did not run. Instead, it did something that surprised everyone in the room. It took one step backward. Marcus stopped counting. 1, he said quietly, completing the countdown. Then he waited. The assassin's mandibles clicked slowly. It was making a decision that went against everything in its nature. In Kreshitar culture, retreat was almost worse than death. But survival was written into every creature's genes, and right now, every gene in the assassin's body was telling it to leave. But it had come here for a reason. It had a contract. It raised one of its blade arms and pointed toward Professor Quilxar. "No," Marcus said simply. He shifted his stance slightly, putting himself even more directly between the assassin and the professor. "You're not touching him." Through the empathic connection she maintained with Marcus, Velsha felt something new. It was resolve, solid and unshakable. Marcus was not going to move. He would die before he let this creature hurt anyone in this room. The Kreshtar processed this information. Its mission briefing had been simple. Target: Professor Quilxar, Vexithari xenobiologist who had discovered classified information about illegal Kreshtar breeding programs. Location: Harmony 7 Station Advanced Xenobiology Classroom. Expected resistance minimal. The professor was old, the students were mostly prey species, and the station was in a peace sector with light security. The briefing had mentioned that a human student attended the class. But the intelligence had severely underestimated what that meant. Kreshtar intelligence files on humans were incomplete. Humans were new to the galactic community. The files contained basic biological data and a warning that Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world. But the files did not explain what Deathworld survivors actually were. The assassin hissed again, but it was a different kind of hiss this time. Not aggressive. More like frustrated, Marcus understood. "You have a job to do," he said. "I get that. Professional pride and all. But here's the thing. That job ends here. You can report back to whoever hired you that the mission failed because there was an unexpected variable. Blame it on me. Tell them I was here and you couldn't complete the contract without causing a major incident. Tell them anything you want. But you're leaving this room right now and you're not coming back." The Kreshtar looked at Marcus, then at Professor Quilxar, then back at Marcus. Its 6 eyes were designed to see in multiple spectrum ranges. In the infrared, it could see that Marcus's body temperature had increased slightly. His heart rate was elevated, but his muscles were not trembling. His breathing was not rapid. He was ready for combat, but he was not panicking. For the first time, the Kreshtar spoke. Its voice was rough, like gravel being crushed, and it came from a vocal chamber in its throat. "Human," it said. The word came out distorted but understandable. "You are small. You have no weapons. You have no armor. Why do you not fear?" Every student in the room was shocked. Kreshtar almost never spoke to their targets. The fact that it was talking to Marcus meant something important was happening. Marcus considered the question seriously. "I do have fear," he said honestly. "Fear is useful. It keeps you alert. But I don't let fear control me. On Earth, if you let fear control you, you died. So humans learn to feel fear and act anyway. We call it courage. But really, it's just survival training that became genetic memory." He paused, then added, "Also, I have training. All humans who want to travel off-world have to complete basic military training. We learn how to fight in close combat. We learn weak points on different species. We learn survival tactics. It's required because the galaxy is dangerous and humans are still learning how to exist outside our own solar system." The Kreshtar's mandibles clicked. "Training," it repeated. That made sense to the assassin. Training was something it understood. The assassin itself had trained for decades to perfect its killing techniques. "But mostly," Marcus continued, "I'm not afraid of you because you're not the scariest thing I've ever seen. Not even close. Like I said before, I'm from Earth. Your species might be apex predators where you're from, but on Earth you'd be middle tier at best. Maybe upper middle tier because of the blade arms. But you'd still have to compete with bears, lions, tigers, crocodiles, hippos, elephants, and several species of large sharks. Plus humans who would probably try to hunt you for sport or study you in a lab." The assassin processed this information. The human was not boasting. He was simply stating facts as he understood them. Earth had multiple apex predators, all competing for dominance. And somehow, humans had become the dominant species on that planet despite being physically weaker than many of the other apex predators there. In the distance, alarms started blaring. Security had been alerted. The Kreshtar's time was running out. "Last chance," Marcus said. "Security will be here in less than 2 minutes now. You have 2 options. Option 1. You attack me, we fight, you probably win but you get injured and definitely don't complete your contract. Then security arrives and you either die or get captured. Option 2. You leave right now. Walk out the way you came in. Disappear before security gets here. Live to take another contract. Preferably one that doesn't involve humans." The Kreshtar's blade arms twitched. Every instinct told it to attack. It was an apex predator. It did not run from prey, but the problem was that Marcus did not feel like prey. He felt like another predator defending territory. And when two predators met, the smart move was to avoid conflict unless absolutely necessary. The assassin made a deep rumbling sound in its chest. It was the Kreshtar equivalent of a growl of frustration. Then it did something that would become legendary in Kreshtar assassin guilds. It spoke words that no Kreshtar had ever said to a target before. "This contract is void," the assassin said. "Payment will be returned. Reason: unacceptable risk factors." Then it turned and walked out of the classroom. Its heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. Within seconds it was gone, vanished into the station's maintenance tunnels where security cameras did not reach. For 3 full seconds, nobody in the classroom moved. Nobody breathed. Nobody could quite believe what had just happened. Then Marcus let out a long breath and his shoulders relaxed. He turned to look at his classmates. "Everyone okay?" he asked. That simple question broke the spell. Suddenly everyone was talking at once. Some students were crying. Others were laughing from relief. A few were demanding to know what just happened. Several were recording messages to send to their families about their near-death experience. Belcia stood up on shaky legs and walked over to Marcus. She looked at him with her large eyes, trying to understand what she had just witnessed. "Marcus," she said quietly, "what you just did was insane." "You could have been killed," Marcus shrugged. "Maybe, but I wasn't going to let it hurt you guys. You're my friends, my pack. On Earth, pack means family, and family means nobody gets left behind. That includes professors who give really hard exams." He said it so casually, like standing up to a deadly assassin was just a normal thing to do on a Tuesday morning. Professor Quilxar had recovered enough to speak. His voice came through his breathing apparatus, shaky but functional. "Mr. Chen," he said, "that was either the bravest or the most foolish thing I have ever seen in 40 years of teaching." "I cannot decide which," Marcus smiled. "Probably both, Professor. Can I ask you something? Why did that Kreshtar want to kill you?" The professor's tentacles drooped, a sign of sadness in Vexthari body language. "I discovered something during my research. Information about illegal breeding programs run by Kreshtar criminal organizations. They create enhanced assassins with modified genetics. It is illegal under galactic law. I reported it to the authorities last month. I suppose someone decided that my research needed to be silenced." Marcus nodded. "Well, they failed, and now security knows about the attempt, so they'll increase protection for you. You should be safe." At that moment, security forces burst into the classroom. There were 6 guards wearing full armor and carrying stun weapons. They looked around wildly, expecting to find chaos and death. Instead, they found a classroom full of shaken but alive students, and one very confused human checking his notes for the molecular cascade exam. The lead security officer, a large Thorian with thick gray fur, looked around in confusion. "We received an alarm about a Kreshtar assassin. Where is the threat?" Professor Quilxar gestured weakly toward the broken door. "It left. Thanks to Mr. Chen, we are all unharmed." The security officer looked at Marcus with new eyes. Then he looked at the destroyed door, which had been ripped from its frame by the Kreshtar's strength. Then back at Marcus. "You faced down a Kreshtar assassin? Unarmed?" Marcus nodded. "Yes, sir. It decided to void its contract and leave. I think I annoyed it more than scared it, honestly." The security officer made a whistling sound through his nose, which was how Thorians expressed disbelief. "Son, Kreshtar don't void contracts. They're known for completing missions even if it kills them. In 500 years of records, there have been only 3 documented cases of a Kreshtar assassin abandoning a contract. Well, now there are 4, Marcus said. He looked at his wrist display again and sighed. "This is going to be a long day, isn't it? I still need to study for that exam." The security officer stared at him. Then he shook his head slowly. The news spread through Harmony 7 Station like wildfire. Within an hour, every student, professor, and staff member knew about the incident in advanced xenobiology class. Within 3 hours, the story had reached the station administrators. Within 6 hours, it was being discussed in government buildings across multiple planets. A human had faced down a Kreshtar assassin and lived. More than that, the assassin had retreated. It was unprecedented. Marcus spent the afternoon giving his statement to station security. He sat in a small interview room with white walls and a single table. Across from him sat Commander Thex, the head of station security. Thex was a Krolar, a species that looked like upright walking lizards with intelligent eyes and sharp teeth. "Walk me through it again," Commander Thex said. His voice was rough and direct. From the moment the Kreshitar entered the room, Marcus had already told the story twice. He was tired, his hands had finally stopped shaking, and he really wanted to go back to his dorm and sleep. But he understood that this was important, so he told it again. It broke through the door. Everyone panicked. I evaluated the threat and determined that it was after Professor Quilxar based on its body language and where it was looking. I positioned myself between them and attempted to de-escalate through communication and intimidation. Commander Thex looked at his datapad. "Several witnesses say you laughed." "Why did you laugh at a Kreshtar assassin?" Marcus rubbed his eyes. "Because it seemed absurd. I came to this academy to get away from violence. Earth is full of violence. Humans fight each other all the time. We have wars and conflicts and crime. I wanted to study medicine in a peaceful place. And then a professional killer breaks into my classroom during midterms. It was just so ridiculous that I laughed." The commander made a note. "And you were not afraid?" "I was terrified," Marcus said honestly. "But fear doesn't help in a situation like that. So I pushed it down and focused on what needed to be done. It's standard human survival response. We call it grace under pressure." Commander Thex studied Marcus for a long moment. "You have military training," he said. It was not a question. Basic training, yes. All humans who want to travel off-world are required to complete 6 months of military training. It covers self-defense, emergency medical care, survival skills, and threat assessment. The galaxy is dangerous, especially for a new species that doesn't understand all the rules yet. 6 months, Thex repeated. "And in that 6 months, they taught you how to face down a Kreshitar?" Marcus shook his head. "No, they taught me biology and anatomy of different species. They taught me how to identify weak points and vulnerable areas. They taught me to stay calm in dangerous situations. The rest was just instinct and educated guessing." The commander leaned back in his chair. "You're either very brave or very stupid, Mr. Chen. I haven't decided which." "Probably both," Marcus agreed. "Can I go now? I really need to study for my exam." Commander Thex made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You're worried about an exam? After what just happened?" "The exam is tomorrow," Marcus pointed out. "The Kreshtar is gone. Life continues. That's how humans deal with trauma. We keep moving forward." The commander nodded slowly. "You're free to go. But Mr. Chen, you should know that what you did today will have consequences. The Kreshtar Assassin Guild will hear about this. They don't like failure. They especially don't like public failure." Marcus stood up. "Then they shouldn't take contracts where humans are involved. We're bad for their reputation." When Marcus left the security office, he found Velsha waiting for him in the corridor. She had been there the whole time, refusing to leave until she knew Marcus was okay. "How are you feeling?" she asked. Marcus thought about it. "Exhausted, hungry, a little bit proud that I didn't die. Mostly just tired." They walked together through the station corridors. Other students stared at Marcus as they passed. Some looked at him with admiration. Others looked frightened. A few looked at him like he was a dangerous animal that might attack at any moment. "Everyone's afraid of you now," Velsha said quietly. Marcus sighed. "I know. That's the problem with being from a death world. People see you as either weak and primitive or as a dangerous monster. There's no middle ground. They can't understand that humans can be both gentle and dangerous at the same time." "I'm not afraid of you," Velsha said. Marcus smiled at her. "That's because you're an empath. You know I'm still me. I'm still the same person who helps you with your organic chemistry homework and shares his food at lunch. I just also happen to be capable of violence when necessary." They reached the cafeteria. It was dinner time, and the large room was filled with hundreds of students from dozens of species. When Marcus walked in, the noise level dropped noticeably. Everyone turned to look at him. Marcus ignored the stares and got in line for food. Velsha stayed close to him. She could feel waves of different emotions from the students around them. Fear, curiosity, respect, suspicion, admiration. It was a confusing mix. A large Thorian student approached them. His name was Gorth, and he was known as one of the strongest students at the academy. His species were natural warriors, and they respected strength above all else. "Marcus Chen," Gorth said. His deep voice carried across the cafeteria. "I heard what you did today, standing against a Kreshtar with no weapons. That was an act of true courage. Marcus looked up at the Thorian, who was nearly 7 feet tall and covered in thick gray fur. Thanks, Gorth, but honestly I was mostly just annoyed that it interrupted class. Gorth laughed, a deep rumbling sound. You faced death and you were annoyed. That is very human. My species has a saying, the most dangerous warrior is the one who has accepted death. You have that quality. I haven't accepted death, Marcus said. I'm planning to live a long, boring life as a doctor. No more assassins, no more violence, just medicine and research. Perhaps, Gorth said, but violence finds some people whether they want it or not. The galaxy is not a safe place. Marcus got his food and sat down at a table with Velsha. Other students gave them space, sitting at other tables. It was like Marcus had an invisible barrier around him now. People were too afraid or too awed to sit close to him. This is going to be my life now, isn't it? Marcus said quietly. Everyone treating me like I'm dangerous. Velsha picked at her food. Maybe for a while. But people have short memories. In a few weeks, there will be some other drama and everyone will forget about today. She was wrong about that. The next day, Marcus took his molecular cascade exam. Professor Quilxar had insisted that classes continue as scheduled, though he had assigned 2 security guards to stand outside the classroom door. Marcus scored 92% on the exam, which was the second highest grade in the class. But while Marcus was taking his exam, something was happening far across the galaxy in the Kreshtar home system. The Assassin Guild Council met in their ancient temple, a massive structure carved from black volcanic rock. The council consisted of the 12 most skilled assassins in Kreshtar history. They made all decisions about contracts, training, and guild policy. The assassin who had failed to kill Professor Quilxar stood before them. Its mandibles were closed in a gesture of submission. It knew that failure meant disgrace, possibly even death. You voided a contract, the head council member said. Her name was Shexra, and she was over 200 years old. She had completed over 1,000 contracts without a single failure. Explain. The assassin explained everything. The human, the lack of fear, the knowledge of anatomy and weak points, the calm threat assessment, the pack-bonding behavior, the underlying message that fighting would result in mutual harm. When it finished, the council was silent for a long time. Finally, another council member spoke. His name was Krethazar. You encountered a Deathworlder. These creatures are dangerous in ways that our intelligence files do not fully capture. Your decision to void the contract was tactically sound. Shexra clicked her mandibles in thought. Humans are new to the galactic community. We have limited data on them. This incident provides valuable information. The human showed pack loyalty, willingness to engage in violence to protect others, and knowledge of xenobiology. These traits make them high-risk targets. Another council member leaned forward. What is your recommendation? Shexra was quiet for a moment. Then she made a decision that would change Kreshtar policy forever. From this moment forward, any contract involving human targets will require triple the normal fee. Contracts in locations where humans are present will require double fee. And all assassins must complete additional training on Deathworld species before accepting such contracts. She looked at the assassin who had failed. You are not disgraced. You showed wisdom in recognizing a threat beyond your capacity to handle safely. You will train the next generation of assassins on Deathworld protocols. This human, Marcus Chen, will become a case study in our training programs. The assassin bowed deeply, grateful to have kept its life and honor. News of the policy change spread quickly through the criminal underworld. Within a week, every crime syndicate in the galaxy knew that humans were now considered high-risk targets by the Kreshtar Assassin Guild. Within a month, other assassin organizations had adopted similar policies. Humans, the newest species in the galactic community, had just gained a reputation that would protect them in ways their governments never could. They were no longer seen as P3 weeks had passed since the incident with the Kreshtar assassin. Life at Harmony 7 Station had mostly returned to normal, but things were different for Marcus in ways both good and bad. The good parts were obvious. Students from prey species worlds felt safer around him. They would ask him to walk with them through the less populated areas of the station. Study groups specifically requested him as a member, not just for his academic knowledge but for the security his presence provided. Even the cafeteria staff gave him larger portions of food, a sign of respect. Professor Quilxar had survived the assassination attempt and continued teaching. though he now had permanent security escorts. He had pulled Marcus aside after class one day to thank him personally. The old Vexithari had tears in his large eyes as he squeezed Marcus's hand with his tentacle-like fingers. But there were bad parts too. Some students avoided Marcus completely, too frightened to be near him. Parents had sent messages to the academy, asking that their children not be placed in classes with the dangerous human. A few professors looked at him with suspicion, wondering if he was secretly a soldier pretending to be a medical student. Marcus tried not to let it bother him. He focused on his studies, attended his classes, and spent time with the friends who still treated him normally. Velsha remained his closest companion, though even she sometimes looked at him with a mixture of affection and wariness. It was late evening, and Marcus was in the station's observation deck. This was his favorite place on Harmony 7. The observation deck had massive windows that looked out into space. You could see stars and distant galaxies in the beautiful garden world that the station orbited. Marcus sat alone on one of the benches, looking out at the stars and thinking about Earth. He missed home sometimes. He missed the feeling of rain on his face, the sound of wind through trees, the smell of fresh grass. Space stations were clean and efficient, but they did not have the chaotic beauty of a living planet. "I thought I might find you here," a voice said behind him. Marcus turned to see Velsha walking toward him. She carried 2 cups of tea, one for each of them. She sat down next to him and handed him a cup. "Thanks," Marcus said, taking the warm cup. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars together. "Do you regret what you did?" Velsha asked eventually. "Standing up to the Kreshtar?" Marcus thought about it carefully. "No," he said finally. "I don't regret protecting you and the others. That was the right thing to do. But I do regret that it changed how people see me. I came here to be a doctor, not a warrior. I wanted to save lives, not threaten them." Velsha sipped her tea. "You are still you, Marcus. You're still the person who helps me study and makes terrible jokes. You just also happen to be capable of protecting the people you care about. That's not a bad thing." "Maybe," Marcus said. "But it's complicated. Humans are always complicated. That's the thing about being from a death world. We had to become complicated to survive. We had to be smart enough to make tools, tough enough to endure harsh conditions, and violent enough to defend ourselves. But we also had to be kind enough to cooperate with each other, caring enough to take care of the weak, and creative enough to build civilizations." He looked at his reflection in the window. Every human carries all of those traits inside them. The capacity for great violence and great kindness, the ability to be a monster or a healer, and we get to choose which one we want to be. That choice, that's what makes us human. Velsha reached out and touched his hand. Through her empathic abilities, she could feel his emotions. Sadness mixed with determination. Loneliness mixed with hope. Fear mixed with courage. He was exactly as complicated as he described. "You chose to be a healer," she said softly. "That's what matters." "Yeah," Marcus agreed, "I did. And I'll keep choosing that every day." A few days later, Professor Quilsar made an announcement at the beginning of advanced xenobiology class. The classroom had been repaired, with a new reinforced door that could withstand almost any attack. Security protocols had been upgraded throughout the station. "Students," Professor Quilsar said through his breathing apparatus, "our midterm exams have been graded. As many of you know, this exam covered molecular cascade reactions in different biological systems. It was extremely difficult." He looked around the room. "I have added a special extra credit question to your exams." The question was, explain why humans are classified as a Class 12 Death World species despite lacking natural weapons, armor, or extreme physical size. Several students exchanged glances. Everyone knew why the professor had added this question. It was because of what had happened 3 weeks ago. "Many of you gave excellent answers," the professor continued. "You discussed Earth's harsh environment, human tool use, and persistence hunting tactics. But one student gave an answer that I believe captures the true nature of Death World species. Mr. Chen, would you please read your answer to the class?" Marcus felt his face get warm. He did not like being the center of attention, but he stood up and read from his exam paper. "Humans are classified as a Class 12 Death World species because we did not need evolution to make us dangerous. We made ourselves dangerous through intelligence, tool use, and cooperation. Then we made the choice to be kind instead of cruel, to heal instead of harm, to build instead of destroy. That choice, the ability to be dangerous but choosing not to be, is what makes us truly terrifying to other species. The classroom was silent when Marcus finished reading. Then slowly, several students began to clap. Then more joined in. Soon the entire class was applauding. Marcus sat down quickly, embarrassed by the attention, but Professor Quilxar was smiling behind his breathing mask. "Full marks for that answer, Mr. Chen," the professor said. "You understand something that many galactic citizens do not. Power without choice is just violence, but power with choice, that is civilization." After class, Marcus walked through the station corridors toward the medical wing. He had a volunteer shift at the station's clinic. He helped the doctors there, learning practical medicine while he completed his academic studies. The clinic was always busy. The station had thousands of residents from hundreds of different species. Each species had different medical needs, different reactions to medications, different biological processes. It was challenging work, but Marcus loved it. Today's patients included a Centaurian child with a respiratory infection, a Thorian elder with joint pain, and a Vexithari merchant who had been exposed to oxygen and needed treatment for chemical burns. Marcus worked carefully with each patient, using his knowledge of xenobiology to provide the best care possible. The head doctor, a kind Zilarian named Dr. Hexta, watched him work with approval. "You have good hands, Mr. Chen," Dr. Hexta said, gentle but confident. "You will make an excellent doctor someday." Marcus smiled. "Thank you, doctor. That's the goal." As Marcus was cleaning up after his shift, the clinic doors burst open. Security officers rushed in carrying an injured student. It was a young Softan, the same species as little Pip who had cried during the Kreshtar incident. "Accident in the engineering lab," one of the officers said quickly. "Chemical exposure. Burns on his torso and arms." Dr. Hexta immediately began treatment. Marcus assisted, helping to apply the proper medications and bandages. Softans had sensitive skin that reacted badly to most chemicals. The treatment had to be precise. The young Softan was crying in pain. Marcus remembered his training and spoke softly to the patient. "It's going to be okay. We're helping you. The pain will stop soon. Just breathe slowly, in and out. You're safe here." His calm voice seemed to help. The Softan's crying became quieter. Marcus continued to talk to him while Dr. Hexta worked, providing distraction and comfort. After 30 minutes, the treatment was complete. The Softan would recover fully, though he would need to stay in the clinic for observation overnight. As Marcus was washing his hands, Dr. Hexta approached him. "That was well done, Mr. Chen. You kept the patient calm while I worked. That is an important skill for a doctor. Many students focus only on the technical aspects of medicine. They forget that healing also requires compassion." Marcus dried his hands. "My grandmother taught me that. She was a nurse on Earth for 40 years. She used to say that medicine without kindness is just mechanics. You have to care about the patients, not just their symptoms." Dr. Hexta made a humming sound of agreement. "Your grandmother was wise. You know, I heard about what happened with the Kreshtar assassin. Many of my colleagues were surprised that a human could be so dangerous. But I was not surprised. I have worked with human doctors before. I know that your species contains multitudes. You can be warriors when needed and healers when needed. That flexibility is a great strength." Marcus looked at the doctor with curiosity. "You're not afraid of me?" "Of course not," Dr. Hexta said. "I have seen your heart, Marcus Chen. You chose to spend your free time helping sick people in a clinic. That tells me everything I need to know about who you are." Those words meant more to Marcus than all the praise he had received for facing the assassin. This was what he wanted to be known for, not for being dangerous, but for being helpful.